Okay. Hi, guys. Happy Saturday. I guess some of you, it might actually be Sunday, but that's all right. I wanted to come into the group and just give an example of, or an analogy of how the BioField tuning stuff works, the BioEnegertic tune-ups, as we're calling it. Whoops. Hold on. I am not going to do that. Sorry, need my glasses to read. But anyway, here is, I'm going to use a Jenga set. I haven't used a Jenga tower in a couple of years, but it was one of my favorite ways to explain this when I was working with people. So imagine this is you. This Jenga tower is your true core rocked up self, right? This is your true you, okay? There's no, if I push on it, it's just not going to fall. Like if you're playing a game of Jenga, you're going to win, right? Because it's just nothing, it's not going to happen. Like I'm pushing on it, not going to happen. But let's say this is you. And now I'm getting, just imagine a timeline, okay? Timeline of your life, my life of Margaret, okay? We're going to start over here at the beginning. Conception, got it? Here's conception. So you start out kind of whole. I'm not going to get into it because things can happen. You can kind of start out with some of these pieces missing, but let's just say for the sake of our example, we're whole. We're going through life, right? Here's our timeline, going through life. And then let's say you're a baby and you cry and your parents just aren't attentive to you, and in your little, not even a year old mind, you're thinking, this is scary. I don't know how to get out of it. I have no ability to feed myself or take care of myself, whatever. You're just probably going into a fight, flight state, right? So what happens is a little part of you don't know how to handle it. So life goes on, but because you couldn't handle it, you leave a little part of yourself behind. We'll keep going. Let's say now you're 4 years old and your older brother takes your toy and you aren't able to get it back. And again, I'm just making this up. I'm telling you this because it can be really that simple. Takes your toy and then you go ask your parents about it and they just dismiss it. So you really weren't able to process the experience. Maybe now you have a mindset of my parents don't care, or my brother's mean, or every experience that you can't handle, you not only lose a little piece of yourself, but it has a mindset in it. Keep going. This is actually a true story from a friend of mine. I did a session on her, and what we realized was when she was a little girl, I'm forgetting what the situation was. I think maybe it was a funeral. She was at a funeral, but she was being like a little girl. She was being kind of carefree and frolicky and having a good time, and her parents scolded her for being too joyful at a funeral. So guess what? She decided that was not a safe way to be. She judged it as bad and left it behind. So anytime, what causes these things, these little parts of us to get left behind are when we judge an experience that we've had as bad or good. And I'm going to get into the good part later. But if we decide something's bad and scary and we can't get through it, it's okay if scary things happen. That does happen. But if after it's over, or even in the moment, we can calm ourselves down again, then this fracturing doesn't happen. But if we never quite can explain it to ourselves, never can quite resolve the situation in our mind and in our heart, then we leave a little part of us behind. I like to say this is going to be the you of the present moment, the Margaret of July 16th, 2022. And these are going to be the little Margarets from my past, right? So let's just keep going. Let's say your friends laugh at you in school. Let's say you mispronounce a word during something. They laugh. And you just want to close your eyes and run and hide, be anywhere but in the present moment. You want to be anywhere but in the present moment. You take that experience and that part of you that was in the experience, I like to say, again, you put a time date, you encapsulate it in a time date stamp. It's not really in the past. It's just in our minds, we've created a little time date bubble and enclosed it there so it's not with us in the present moment, even though it really is. we're just encapsulating. We keep going through our timeline, right? And so let's say a really major traumatic event happened, just a catastrophe. You might lose a lot of pieces of yourself. If y'all could see that, you know, a lot of pieces of yourself in one event. Or if there's a situation that just doesn't ever get resolved, like you're in a relationship where it's just maybe abusive or toxic, verbally or emotionally abusive, you might just start having little strings of yourself, you know, it just starts to happen. So you keep going through life and more of these parts of you are offline. And here's the deal. Every one of these parts has a memory, it has emotions, it's an age, whatever age you were when you did this, because again, this is you, the present moment you, the you of the now, doing it to you. So it doesn't matter if someone else got mad at you. It doesn't matter if someone else did something to you. What creates this is not them doing it to you. What creates the fracturing, the creating the holes in our core, is you deciding it's bad, not having the ability to get out of that fight-flight response, deciding it's bad, and so you take that part of you and leave it behind in your timeline. And here's the deal, it gets a little more, it's obviously more nuanced, more complicated than that, because we can inherit some of this, because we can pass all of our stuff that we don't reintegrate onto our kids, and they, doesn't mean they're automatically going to have it, but they will automatically be in an environment, an energetic environment, where they're just going to start to believe certain things about themselves. Like if this little part, I can't remember which one I said this was, let's just say it was laughed at, and now it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not a good public speaker. If that doesn't get resolved, and let's say you have kids, that belief system that's attached to it, I'm not a good public speaker, that can just be the voice that they hear right from the gate. So they might be born not believing they're a good public speaker. And by the way, we know this is true scientifically. We may not know exactly how it happens, but we know that it does happen because they've done this study with animals. I think it was rats or mice, something. They did it with cherry blossom scent. They exposed them to cherry blossom and then they zapped them. And then eventually they develop this fright, like, I don't want to be around that. And then they realized 3 or 4 generations later, their offspring who had never smelled cherry blossom were reacting to it. Anyway, so we know it happens, even if we don't fully understand. But this is my analogy of how I make sense of it and how we can reintegrate it. The good news is none of these are bad parts of you. None of them. What these parts are going through, this is the stuff of triggers. In my mindset community, we call it bound nature. Free nature is going to be this part of you, the part of you that's in your core. Bound nature is going to be these guys because they're living with a very limited worldview. They're going through life with blinders on. They have, they basically have access to only those parts of you that it was experiencing. It doesn't know that you survived. It's living, I like to say, maybe your own Groundhog Day, where it's just living that same story over and over and over again, and the same emotions over and over and over again. So anyway, the key to getting these back in is to go back through your timeline. This is timeline integration. This is what this is. So as I say combing the field, as you're combing the field, these are the little parts of you that you're finding. They're in your field. The emotions of them you can find. You can hear their story. You can hear what they're believing to be true. You can, if you really wanted to find out, like, what was going on? Like, what was the event? Was it your friends laughing at you? You can find all that because it's all here. So as we go through life and more and more of ourselves are offline, it's just these are offline, you become a little more wobbly. And Because another thing is these are responsible for parts of your physiology. Whatever you were seeing and hearing, whatever you were thinking, whatever you were, if you were eating food, might have been part of you that was responsible for digestion. So you do this enough and parts of your body just don't work. So when I was dealing with Lyme and I kind of started to understand all this, I just stopped dealing with Lyme. And I said, oh my gosh, I have to do whatever I can do to get these guys back in here, because this guy with all these parts in place is invincible. This guy with all of my parts in place, I'm fearless, I'm limitless, like nothing's gonna stop me, it's gonna be amazing. But me with all of my parts out here, I'm fractured. I just can't function, I'm missing parts, you know? I mean, anyway, they're all necessary. They all have a role to play. So anyway, as we're going through our field, we comb our field, and that's what we're doing. We're finding these pieces, and we're just putting them back in place. We're finding those stories, and we're, where did he go? Maybe here, we're putting them back in place. And by the way, this is not a scientific definition. This is just my definition. But trauma, this is trauma. Trauma is when we decide something is bad and it's separated out. It's why one person can, or two people can go through the exact same event and one person is traumatized and the other isn't. And the person who's traumatized is the person who went into that fight-flight state and was not able to come out of it. Like life, they just moved on and left a little piece of them behind. This is what causes the energy. Energy wants to flow. This is what causes it to be stuck and not flow. So as we do our sessions, that's what we're doing. We're putting these guys back in place. And you never quite know what it's going to be responsible for. But it's reestablishing the flow. It's making you stronger and more stable. And again, it's just bringing all those great parts of you back online. I'm getting pleasant out because I want them to be whole. But anyway, just wanted to share, because part of this is going to be sharing common language, common analogies, so that we can start exploring this stuff together. Just play around with it. I love using the tuning forks because you don't have to know what's going on. It's dealing with the energy directly. You don't have to remember, because a lot of times you can't remember because this guy's holding the memory. So when it gets back in place, they're like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that. You're like, yeah, you forgot because you shut it down. So you're bringing all those parts back into the present moment, and it's just a beautiful thing so that you can be more you, more whole, because that's who you really are. All these parts of you are you. And that's why we got to take ownership of this stuff. And even if it was someone else that did something horrific, it's still you fracturing you. And so that I understand that may take a little extra work, but it doesn't have to either. So if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you, and have a great rest of your Saturday.